Welcome to Combat Sports Talk, a podcast dedicated to UFC and Bellator discussion, the MMA community, and combat sports in general. I'm your host, Ryan Smith, and joining me this week is the man with the keys to victory, John Keys.
Hey, don't call me out first because y'all about to leave me out on this entire situation. I don't want to hear it tonight.
Yeah, see, that's why we're late, because we were waiting on you to show up.
Don't blame me on that. Can't.
All right.
I can't.
Here in the studio with me tonight is Kelechi Onyebuchi.
Wakanda forever.
God. And it really sounds like him too. Oh my God.
What do you mean this sounds like him?
The
Power of the Black Panther shall return.
And the double champ, George G Money Stallworth.
Oh, not him too. See, I really feel left out now.
Yeah, you see, you're the only one who didn't rep Black Panther.
Oh, I always rep Black Panther, but that's a different story for a different day, sir. Okay, trust me.
Yeah, and so Mr. George G Money Stallworth is still on mute, so he is talking, but he cannot be heard.
Confused. I am not on mute, and I was saying, I could have represented the 4-2 for Jackie Robinson. Chadwick Boseman played Jackie in that movie.
That's right. Well, in that case, then I'm gonna I said I'm gonna represent James Brown.
Dude, that
Get on up.
Played some iconic roles, hasn't he?
Yes, he has.
He has.
The dude.
There's another movie out, The Five Bloods.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I haven't seen it yet. I've been told it's really good, so I suggest everybody go check it out.
So, in honor of Chadwick Boseman, for those of you who are watching, tell us what your favorite role of his was. So go ahead and type that in the box. Let it know. We'll pop that up later on in the show. All right, we got a great show for you guys. There is I was going to say there's a lot to talk about, but there really isn't. So let's just hump. Everybody's back in the gym. Everybody's getting ready. Is it fair to say that we've normalized the fighting again? Like it seems like we've gotten back to normal.
Yeah, there's not much of a difference from the cadence that we were at before, and I don't think that the empty arena is affecting fighters the way that it once was.
I can't agree with that. I think there was a couple of fights over the weekend that I could think of at least one fighter that was really affected, and it showed. He just didn't have it.
I'm excited to hear about that one.
All right, that is a major market teaser. Let's go ahead and get into the official decision. This is the official decision. This is where we talk about the fights on Saturday night. It was UFC Vegas 8, Smith versus Rakic, Saturday, August 29th, 2020, at the UFC Apex Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. There were supposed to be 5 fights on the card, but the Magomed Ankalaev, I almost got it. Dang it. I fell flat on that one.
I can't be mad at it because I looked at it on the run sheet. I was like, not today, Satan. Not today.
Versus Ion Cutelaba. That fight got canceled. Cutelaba came down with a positive COVID-19 test. So that fight got pulled from the card. Lamas defeated Billy Algeo via unanimous decision. Every one of these fights were decisions. We usually want to see knockouts or submissions. These were all decisions, but some of these decisions were fairly dominant. Alexa Grasso defeated Ji-Young Kim via unanimous decision, 30-27 all the way across.
Alexa looked good. I think this is where she's going to be for a minute.
Yeah. And I know what you're doing. So for those of you out there, we have a device that responds to the ALEXA word in here.
So if I was to say, no.
Yeah, don't do it. Neil Magny defeated Robbie Lawler via unanimous decision. I told y'all last week,
I told y'all.
I told y'all last week Neil Magny was going to take out Robbie Lawler. I told y'all.
The thing is, you were right.
I think I was on that bandwagon with you, wasn't I?
Yeah, the thing is that no, I actually called Robbie Lawler, but because 137 is the lost episode, no one will ever have any proof.
yeah, that was weird.
I was on the wrong bus on that one.
But yeah, we're not gonna. We shall not talk about it.
No, but let's talk about this fight though, because the whole thing is I was treating Neil Magny like Angie Overkill Hill.
He was my Angie Hill, where I just hadn't seen him win, and it just wasn't super impressive when he did finally win.
Yeah.
But here, Neil Magny looked like a seasoned pro with so much more to gain. What I was most impressed by was his ability to use his size, his range. It's just different. But what it did do is solidified some talking points that I've been pushing in on recently with John. And that is this notion that the UFC has evolved yet again. And we are in this spot where slow starters, fighters who are known for counter-striking and picking their shots, that one big shot, they no longer have a pathway to victory, because these new fighters who are getting after it time and time again are more well-rounded. They're killing the game right now. And so I think Robbie in this showed that he's not able to adapt. He is a brawler through and through, and the UFC has passed him by.
And it's unfortunate. This was the fighter that I was alluding to. Let's not take anything from Robbie Lawler. He is a vicious fighter. He's one of the last fighters from the old school of UFC, from the Zuffa days. To see him being outclassed like he was, I felt that he is that one that vibes off the energy of the crowd, that the more that the crowd asks for it, the more he gives it. And that was part of, he lost that major edge there. And it just allowed Neil Magny to just dominate him. And it was a complete domination, in my opinion. It's rare that I've ever seen Robbie Lawler just one-sided.
Yeah.
Beat.
I think at one point the striking differential was it? Well, that's not the right word. The difference in striking was 13 strikes, significant strikes from Robbie to 85. Like, he got outclassed completely. And the worst part was Robbie went in and tried to use wrestling, right? Every boxer becomes a wrestler once they're in adversity. Yeah. And even that was just, he had no shot.
Yeah, it was over. It was over.
Was that a pun intended?
Quizás.
So George, is it time for us to start talking about Robbie Lawler and the end of his career? We've got a lot of fighters retiring. Is it time for Robbie to start talking about it?
No. This makes the case for John Key's well-known league of older fighters who aren't quite ready to be put out the pasture and still have one or two more good fights, or would do better fighting someone in their skill set level. These guys have the experience of years of knowledge of fighting. So they're not just beyond their prime. They're just not capable of dealing with a lot of these new young bucks coming in who've only trained MMA. They weren't just well-versed in one skill. They trained a complete package. And we're seeing it more and more. We talked about this in the past few weeks. All of these new fighters coming up are supplanting these older guys. What's really happening here is the skill sets is just so different, and the older guys have not made the adjustment to deal with these younger guys. So yeah, that's what's happening. Robbie's not out to pasture. I think he just needs to pick his fights now. Robbie needs to be in that league with Anderson Silva, a few other folks who need specific types of fights, and they will continue to be interesting fights for a while.
Yeah, I mean, this is. Oh, go ahead, Casey.
No, I really like that, because as you were talking, I really thought through it, and I would like to see Robbie Lawler fight another old school brawler. Because, I mean, I just can't get past his fight with Rory McDonald. Like, this is just toughness personified. And there's something nice about that, to just see a fighter just in his element, just going after it. But you're right, the Young Bucks have kind of passed him by. but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have a place. It's just he's not really going to be in contention for a title anytime soon.
Right. Wouldn't you love to see a Robbie Lawler Tyron Woodley fight?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
but we already saw it. It only lasted like 13 seconds or whatever. It was a short fight.
Let's run it back.
Run it back.
Run it back. Yes.
Run it back.
You know, over the weekend, I was watching. I was going back in the history of UFC, and you know, I actually brought out a topic of just how good was Hoist Gracie, and and I was watching it, and I was watching several other fighters like Frank Shamrock, Ken Shamrock, Boss Rudin. These fighters, they were part of the Zuffa days. And one thing I did appreciate about them was that they did have individual styles. Robbie Lawler actually came from those Zuffa days where they were individual styles. They hadn't really meshed into each other to form what we now know as mixed martial arts. And I think that's what it is that Robbie Lawler is primarily a wrestler. And he just has a very extreme violent streak with him. And he will not evolve in this. You're right. We need a Masters division where he can go and just fight with the other fighters that still have that individual style.
By the way, if you're playing the drinking game, you're going to start adding Masters division to the scoreboard. So if you hear Masters division,
did we do? I thought we already did that. I thought that was already in there.
Okay, well, if you hear Masters division,
drink it up.
All right, let's go on. The main event of the evening, Aleksandar Rakic defeated Anthony Lionheart Smith via unanimous decision. There, even one judge gave a 30-26. That's a 10-8 round. This is one that I got right. I said last week that, while I respect Cousin Anthony, I like him as a fighter. He has always been someone that we collectively as the Combat Sports team have supported. I really felt like Aleksandar Rakic was going to win this fight. I did not think it was going to be in as dominant a fashion as he did, though.
It's dominant, but it's similar to what we've seen in the fight before it, where the wrestling is it wrestling or jiu-jitsu at that point? But the ground game, let's all together, was tough for Anthony to overcome. And for me, it was hard to watch because Anthony was clearly more comfortable working off of his back, but there was a downside to it in that he wasn't generating any offense off of his back at all. And it looked like in some spots he was really hoping for a referee to separate them. Like he wasn't actually advancing towards anything. It was really all about just surviving through it. He took some heavy leg kicks early on that seemed to demoralize him, but he was never able to really plant his feet and really do work against Rakic, who looked strong. Like, that's coming from a guy who loves Anthony Smith. I'm a big fan, always going to back him, but man, Rakic just looked in a whole different class. He was big.
Once again, that was really brutal. Those leg kicks, I mean, he just chopped him like a tree. And I was just, at that point, you could just see it in his face that Lionheart, and once again, I have no beef with Lionheart, but he just looked like he checked out. You know, and no matter what he tried, Rakic was there for him. And I don't know.
One of the things I heard being tossed around by a couple of the commentators on the show, and just from some other fighters in general, was after Anthony's last loss, that there needs to be a period of time where you don't just allow your body to recover, but allow your mental fortitude to recover. Because we saw how much damage and punishment Anthony is capable of dealing with for the last 2-3 fights, even.
Right.
And the Anthony we saw in the octagon on Saturday night, we all know he is capable of so much more than what we saw. You get what I'm saying? So there's that theory out there that these past couple of losses have mentally damaged Anthony, and he needs to take a period of time where either he's doing some mental coaching or something else in order to get his head back in the right space in order to proceed and be basically a entitled contention in that division again.
I'd love to see him doing some more work on his jiu-jitsu. I know he's He's a high-level jiu-jitsu guy, but we just didn't get a chance to see that. And working off of his back for as long as he did, it, to me, seemed like the perfect opportunity to show the diversity of your game. He's shown that he's willing to adapt and learn. He's taken Jon Jones' style to some degree when it comes to strikes out of the break, spinning back fist, even the leg attacks. So we know that he can adapt. We just didn't see it in this fight. And some of that has to be just the demoralization of getting your legs chopped out from under you and then having someone that big laying on you the whole time. So what I'd love to see is him just build some of that confidence back with some of these local jiu-jitsu tournaments that he's been, honestly, for the most part, just killing it in. We just need more of that fighter mentality, not to take away from his Lionheart. I think it's there. But in this particular fight, he was too content to just sit back and hope for a ref to save him.
You chose those words very, very, very carefully.
I'm not trying to catch any smoke. Let me be extremely clear. Anthony Smith, while it is extremely likely that we could run into each other on the street, I want no smoke whatsoever at any time.
Man. But yeah, well, you're saying that he's killing it in these jiu-jitsu competitions. Do you think that that's kind of spilling over into his mentality about fighting in the octagon?
I think in typical, in the past, like I've seen him in the gym and there's just an air of confidence about him, right? I haven't been able to see any of his training of late as I've stepped away from the gym for a bit, but I don't know that it brings it in any negative way. There's just there's that confidence when you've been winning all of these local fights and just knowing I'm the baddest dude when I'm on the ground, just the absolute baddest. And then you mix it in with how effective his striking is. Because I think we all had an ooh moment when he finally caught Rakic. Because we saw that Anthony still is, when he can plant his feet, he can throw some shots.
Yeah.
So he's got to put himself in better situations to just prove that. I know it's got to be demoralizing as he was very recently fighting for a title. And now you're fighting number 8s, number 10s, and kind of moving down the stack. But he's got to find that right opponent that gives him that signature win again.
Okay.
All right, well, let's go ahead and close the book on this one and put it on the shelf because this card is history. Now let's look forward to finding the angles where we talk about the headlines that are making waves in the MMA world. All right, first on the run sheet, not necessarily first in order of importance, is Luke Rockhold. Luke Rockhold is coming back. He decided that he was retired, and then he said, you know what, I still got it in me. I still got that fire. And so he is saying that he wants to call out Darren Till in his hometown of London. Now, if Darren Till was a video game character called Little Mac, then that would make Luke Rockhold Glass Joe.
Oh, wow.
I'm glad Luke lives in California.
I know,
Not
right?
Texas.
He's far. I can say
That's
it.
some smoke I'd take.
Yeah, you just got to land one right here on the chin, and then you're good.
Hey, man,
Him and Brandon Schaub, man. You know, it's the Glass Joe brothers.
So
Hey,
my
you
problem
better
with
watch
this,
You know, Brendan's gonna be spending time here in Texas, Ryan.
I know he's
Brendan,
gonna be.
I don't want none of that smoke.
I mean, I'll take it.
Hey, Brendan, Luke, I'll set it up. We have a proper gym and a ring and even a small octagon I have available. So
All right, but we
whenever
got to
you-
have
whenever
contingencies.
you guys
here.
show up in Texas, KC will be here.
See, the way my cardio is set up, we can only have 30-second rounds. Like,
I don't know, man. You know, Luke, you can call out a lot of people, but I don't think you want the gorilla. That dude.
yeah.
Nah, man. You might wanna look elsewhere.
Especially when we think about fighting styles and who's going to come out hungrier. I feel like Luke gets smashed, as Habib would say.
Yes. Very badly. very, very badly. Where's Weidman in all this? They could run it back.
Yeah, like
What?
That makes more sense than anything.
That would be a better fight for Luke Rockhold. Like I think both of those guys, that would be a great fight for Luke Rockhold.
Yeah,
I think that might be the only fight for him.
Yeah, well, as we were talking about fighters who've had really great careers and now the UFC has kind of passed them by. I don't see a great fight for Luke Rockhold outside of the one that you just called. I mean, what, you got to put him up against Jared Cannonier or someone like that? No.
Not if he wants to keep that underwear contract. Okay, no, we don't do that.
These guys at 185 are just monsters. It's a scary thing.
But see, that's the thing, Ryan. It's not just at 185. This is literally the time that the UFC has actually stacked their top 10s with nothing but true killers. This is one of those few times. Now we can truly say the UFC does have the elite. And there's very few fighters out there that could stand the top 10 of the UFC in any of their division, even their weakest division, which I think I'll say it, the flyweights. Mm-hmm. Okay, who's going in there? Who's going in there? Okay,
I'm taking everybody today.
Hey, remember that fight from last week, 2-on-1. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just kind of figuring, like, where does it even go from there? Like, what is the point? So there's too many fighters who are out here trying to earn their keep and make their name. I think for roster spots, this is, for lack of a better word, this just reeks of selfishness. Like, yeah, I know you still want to prove yourself, but you had your shot. Like, I'm more interested in seeing some of these hungry young fighters versus guys who have shown us what they need to show. Like, Rockhold he's no slouch for sure. Like, I'm joking about, I take this shot, but he's no slouch. But realistically, there's so many more interesting fights out there that this is just a money move, if anything, or pride.
It's pride. It's pride and machismo. I don't see anything. I mean, look, just be a talent development. All right, that's all you. At this point, I mean, and I'm not saying that because of your of a lack of skill. No, it's not that. You were a champion. Okay, it's the fact that these guys have evolved. These are apex predators now. All right, you were the apex predator. You're about a 3. Okay, on the apex predator scale. All right.
The views expressed by John Keys do not necessarily reflect the views of the show or anyone on it.
That's yeah. That is John Keys and John Keys alone.
You want that smoke though, KC?
Yeah, I want that smoke, but when I beat Rockhold, beating a 3 doesn't matter, right? So
I'm just saying that.
Let's keep that legacy intact.
I have a big truck, and I will run them over with it. I have no problem picking up chairs, tables, stabbing them with a fork. I have no problem with these things. That's what I've been trained to use the environment around me, and I shall.
My man said he's going to adapt and overcome.
Exactly. A fight's a fight, and I'm not getting paid UFC money, so it's survival at that point.
Yeah, well, speaking of somebody who has to adapt is Michael Chandler. Now, we talked about him a couple of weeks ago being a free agent at Bellator, and Dana White has expressed an interest in having Michael Chandler come and fight in the UFC. Michael Chandler's expressed wanting to fight Justin Gaethje. So you would think that that he would be a shoo-in for coming into the UFC, but what we're finding out is that one of the big differences between fighting in Bellator and fighting in the UFC is something we all know and love, an organization known as the United States Anti-Doping Agency, USADA. And so there's discussion that says that perhaps Michael Chandler doesn't want to go to the UFC because he doesn't want to have to get into the pool.
This feels like a lot of speculation that's unfounded.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
This feels like a lot of hearsay.
You know, I'm only reading the headline, guys. This is one where I don't want to take my chances with Michael Chandler. I don't want to get him mad.
Right. It just feels weird to impugn the character of a man who's done great work in another organization. And like, I know it's a slow news day and this isn't us at all, but realistically, to Michael Chandler has given no one any reason to believe that he's got a USADA issue. But let's also be real. This is a great way to highlight the contrast between Bellator and the UFC when it comes to USADA. You look at the former wrestlers who've gone over to, former pro wrestlers who've gone over to Bellator, and it's very clear that they did not do so unaided. So it's a little different. Oh, yeah. I say that as, yeah, we'll have to catch that in the off the show because, again, this is someone I don't want smoke with. But I can think of a guy who went to the same college that I did who definitely didn't get to the pro wrestling status 100% clean.
Wow. Now I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So you mean to look at that guy, how he's built and what he was built like when he was in college? That wasn't protein shakes.
Well, wait.
Creatine,
wow.
baby. Creatine.
I'm lost here.
Hey. I believe in discretion because we all know that at some point I'm going to run for public office and I don't want this tape to play back. And I'm like, oh, look at this guy calling people out early on.
Well, somebody that we do know who did make it to the pro wrestling ranks and we know used that stuff, Brock Lesnar. Now, we were talking about Michael Chandler being a free agent. Well, Brock Lesnar is also a free agent. And we know that he has used talk about coming back to the UFC as a bargaining chip to get a better contract with the WWE. Mm-hmm. Now, I think that we are all once bitten, twice shy kind of people where none of us is interested in entertaining the conversation of Brock Lesnar returning to the UFC. So what do you guys think? Do you think that that Brock Lesnar has any appeal anymore in the UFC or what?
The heavyweight division has got too many storylines going. They don't need this mess.
Oh, but he makes the ultimate storyline though. I mean, if you really think about it, I mean, Brock Lesnar is that god that's as Joe Rogan once put it, if this was medieval times, he is that guy that's got the crazy battle armor with a 2.5-handed sword going down chopping people with one hand. All right, he's built for war.
Mountain.
He's the mountain. Yeah.
And yeah, he's the mountain. He is the mountain. And even at his age, he's still, I mean, aided or unaided. We're not gonna say which one it is, but he still is a monstrous figure. He took the UFC by storm. He was a champion within 4 fights. And so he left because he was still defending the title while fighting off a disease that could have killed him. And he was still breaking people up. Do you not? I mean, he is the ogre. If we were watching Grappler Baki on Netflix, he is the ogre. Okay.
So what I'm hearing you say in Marvel terms is that you want to see M'Baku fight Thor.
Wow. Yes, I want to see that. I want to see M'Baku. Yeah, fight Thor.
Because Francis Ngannou is probably the only fight that could happen because he's got to take the biggest money fight and maybe Blades might be another fight that people would pay for, but
I think Ngannou that's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one.
No. Lesnar has to start at number 11 and just march his way back all the way up.
No.
How many times has the UFC done that? Come on now.
He wouldn't be able to do it.
But that would be the ultimate storyline, though. That you have the former killer come back healthy, and he's not only gonna take it, he's gonna march right through each and every one of them. They say, "Oh, we got
Coach,
a number
please
4
school
fight." It's
this
like,
man.
no, I want number 9. I'm knocking these fools off, so when I get at the top, nobody can come get it.
Nobody gonna take
That's
this
the
belt
story.
from me.
Nobody gonna take this belt.
Coach, what do you think on this one? Because this sounds ludicrous to me.
I'm staying out of this one. Yeah, you guys got that.
He might be 45, 46 when it's all said and done, but it can happen. I'm just saying.
No, just remember that Alistair Overeem once put a knee in Brock Lesnar's ribs, and Brock was like, "Okay, I don't want any more of this."
You want some of this, old man?
Okay, so if I knee you and you got diverticular conjunctivitis, and your guts are about to explode on you and die, then yes, if I get kneed right there, I might say, "Hold on, my friend. I may need to tap on this ground because I'm done." All right, I may have to do that. He was still sick with diverticulitis.
What was
Diverticulitis, bro? Come on.
Yeah, that too. He had that too. Okay.
Look,
I'm glad you said something, Coach, because I had no idea what John.
hey, well, you know what? Perhaps that is our SAT word of the show, diverticulitis.
This is your SAT word of the show.
It means that your guts are about to fall out. All right, that's what it is. Oh my God, let me look that up here.
Well, so while you're looking that up, Brock Lesnar, of course, is a person that has gotten on the radar of another person that is moving to heavyweight, and that is Jon Bones Jones.
Ooh.
He is back in the gym. He is lifting weights, and he is really trying to jockey for a position to fight Stipe Miocic for the title. I still think that Francis Ngannou is going to get that shot, even though Stipe is like, that's kind of boring for me. I already dominated him the first time. But I really think Ngannou has improved. I think that's the logical fight for Stipe. But Jon Jones is saying that that he could take Stipe Miocic, and so he went on Twitter and started making his case, saying that Stipe is kind of a Stipe versus Francis is a high risk, low reward. That the better fight is Jon Jones, and then he decided to take a shot at Brock Lesnar and said, "Oh yeah, Brock, I will beat your bleep too."
Interesting.
That's bold. Okay. But I mean, I understand why Jon Jones did it, because I would say the same thing too if I was in that position. I understand why Stipe doesn't want to fight Francis Ngannou. That's not the same person he fought the first time. Now we have another monster that's at the gates, and he's like, "Let me in," and he's like, "I don't think so. I like the belt where it's at." Because while Francis Ngannou had the power before, now he has power and skill, and he's a threat.
Do we know that? We assume he has it.
Yeah, we still have not
Apparently
seen Francis Ngannou wrestle anybody.
Well, Stipe's assuming that too. Okay, you can tell when he's sick. You can tell when okay, I'm gonna say it. And Stipe, I know where you at.
Prepare the
Yeah, let me
prepare
prepare the censor button here.
Okay, we know. I know when a man runs scared. Okay, I know when a man runs scared. You can see it in his eyes. You can hear it in his talk. All right, and I understand. I would run scared too. I'm running scared
Counterpoint
right now.
Stipe has been disrespected by the UFC time and time again, and he knows that the only way to make any real money fight is to create controversy. To say that you're overlooking someone is a means of creating controversy, and I don't believe that he's truly scared because he's been tested by the best of the best. He is the GOAT in heavyweight. There's no way that you can create a true argument that Stipe is scared, but what you can do is say that Stipe is over the games, but at the same time trying his best to make a money fight before he exits, because there is nothing left for him to do. So there's some truth in saying he's not excited about it, because you saw his demeanor once he beat Cormier. He's not excited about anything in the UFC. He's just ready to move on.
Well, if he's ready to move on, okay, then he needs to adopt the attitude that George St. Pierre had. Okay, they told him who he was gonna fight, and he said, okay. That's how you get over things. You just say, hey, this guy's gonna fight George. I don't remember George St. Pierre ever calling out anybody in particular. They just said they announced the fight, and then he talked a little respectful smack, Ricky Bobby style, and then he went and beat their butts. That's how you do it.
That was back in the time where UFC rankings mattered, right? Like you were fighting the next up who was the next best up. You weren't fighting the guy who was talking the most. So there was no need for him to engage in that type of discourse. It was rather perfunctory that he was going to fight the next guy.
There it is. Perfunctory.
Forget about the inflamed fluid-filled sacs of diverticulitis. Let's go with perfunctory. Yeah. Forget that. I mean, this stuff is about as bad as blue waffles. Oh my God.
Blue waffles?
No, please don't.
Please don't. Okay. Do not go any further with that. What was the word again, Casey?
Perfunctory.
Perfunctory.
I wish we were doing a screen grab right now because I'm about to throw up.
Don't y'all look it up. Okay. Carried out with a minimum of effort or reflection. He gave a perfunctory nod.
Yeah, because it was just gonna happen, right? Like this wasn't these like I had to do a lot to become. Don't.
Y'all are looking at
you ruined all of us again. The views expressed by John Key on this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views of Kelechi's future campaign.
Oh my gosh. John Keys. Where do you get this stuff from? Oh my gosh.
I'm Army, dude. Do not mess with my humor. It's dark. It's
my God.
and purely evil. Okay.
My God.
What I'm more upset about is I knew what it was, and I watched Ryan recording it. Or not recording it, pulling it up, and I just couldn't stop him. Like,
oh my gosh.
It was the
good thing though is Ryan is wise enough. I'm just glad you didn't Google image search first because that's usually where I start.
Oh,
you don't.
No, I'm not doing that.
Y'all about to ruin this man.
We're not gonna do that.
Pay $1 to see Ryan's face right now.
Well, because I'm, my Strengths Finder, I'm a learner. So once you start,
you're gonna learn today.
Once you open up the Pandora's box for something, I gotta know about it. And so while you're talking about it, I'm Googling it. And now that I know what it is, and now Kelechi's like, well, you should have Googled image search. I'm like, you know what? You're right. I should have. But I'm not going to do it during the show because I may not be able to continue. And we got a lot of show to do.
Let me get this straight. This tells me that you do not know many veterans in your circle because we all have a sick sense of humor. Secondly, it also shows that KC is your hype man because he didn't stop you. He's like,
nah. Look, everyone should know this about me. I will always encourage poor decisions. Always. Don't take my advice. Someone was talking to me the other day at work. She was like, hey, we should have more conversations. I'd love to hear your perspective on things. I was like, about work? Yes. Life? No. Don't just do the opposite of what I tell you because I'm always seeking the story.
Moving on.
Daniel Cormier.
Functory manner.
Daniel Cormier retired after his Stipe fight, but he didn't really confirm it until this week. People thought that he was going to take off the gloves and drop them in the middle of the ring, as is tradition for great fighters who retire in their last fight. However, what he said was dropping his gloves in the ring would have stolen the moment from Stipe Miocic, who not only in retaining his title also asserted himself as the greatest heavyweight of all time in the UFC. And so, I have to shout out Daniel Cormier for being self-aware enough to not, steal that moment.
It's good because he wasn't knocked out the way he was with Jon Jones. So he was able to still be aware.
Speaking of Jon Jones, Jon Jones said, "Hold my beer." and then proceeded to jump on Twitter.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cormier is the epitome of class. Like when it comes to fighter attitude, even in devastating loss, he'll state facts, won't complain, which was something that I think most people didn't like about him early on, was that he was so straightforward, he was so straight-laced, and he did have this kind of whining ethic about him. But man, it's just refreshing to see a genuinely good dude who's that thoughtful about not just his legacy, but other people's legacy. It just that sort of character just doesn't show its head in the UFC all that often.
Well said.
Yeah, okay.
So speaking of someone who, you're getting ready to rebut that?
Yeah,
Here we go.
He is so he is what people should model fighters after. I mean, Daniel Cormier has been class all the way through his fighting career.
Yep.
However,
here we go. There's the but.
Won't he do it?
Two things didn't happen. One, he didn't put the gloves down in the ring. Two, last time I checked, he didn't pull his name from the blood pool. So until that happens, Daniel Cormier is still fighting. He's just weak.
Everyone take a shot.
Take that shot. Take it.
Take your shot, take your sip.
Take a sip.
Just saying.
Now, talking about somebody who is self-aware and made a good decision.
That's me.
Jon Jones recently came out and explained why he vacated his light heavyweight title. And what he said, I vacated the light heavyweight championship because I knew my heavyweight goals were going to take some time. I wasn't going to play games with the contenders and make people fight interim championship belts. There's a little rest on the throne. I don't know what that means. But basically what he's saying is that in order for him to prepare himself for going to heavyweight, he vacated his titles so that he wasn't holding up creating a logjam in light heavyweight. That's a great thing. Anthony Lionheart Smith, before he met Aleksandar Rakic, said, I'm not typically the guy that's got a whole bunch of nice things to say about Jon Jones, but that's a noble thing to do. Dominic Reyes also, he'd been talking a lot of smack about Jon Jones, but he even turned around and said, hey, Johnny Bones, thank you for the experience, man. I wish you the best of luck in your journey. I know that things got a little crazy, but I just wanted to be pushed beyond my perceived limits by the light heavyweight GOAT again. God bless and God willing till we get the dance under those lights again.
Although we've come to the end of the road.
Hey, baby.
Still I can't let
we were supposed to fight a rematch. But I guess it didn't happen.
I love how none of this is ever on the run sheet. Just life.
That is what makes us good, is that we can do this on the fly and just let it roll, man. All right?
I'm telling you, that is the deep voice guy is my favorite part of every song.
We got to bring that back.
We'll do it at the end of the show.
We'll try it at the end of the show. We'll try.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I guess. I mean, that awfully convenient, but okay. I've seen Jon Jones, lifting weights at a heavier weight while he was off. I don't believe it, but okay, he got a good reason in the interim. All right, that makes sense. But as far as Jon Jones goes, I don't believe it. I don't believe him. He has convinced me to sit there and say that, anything that he says, we got to really look at his actions. Okay, he's already stated why he's going to the heavyweight. I honestly think that he could have gave Dominic Reyes a rematch before he left. He had
Why?
Why? Because because why should he fight? Why should he fight Dominic Reyes? Because it was a close match. He fought Alexander Gustafsson again. and on a very close match where a lot of people said he won that Alex won that, just like they said that Dominic won that fight. So yeah, he could have fought him again to cement. If anything, if you know you can beat this man, he would have ran it back one time and then been like, okay, I've beaten everybody here convincingly. I'm out. And
he's just at a different spot in his career too.
Here comes Coach.
Get him.
Come on,
I'm just listening to what John said. You're saying after the fact that he fights Dominic again, then he could say he's beating everybody here convincingly. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. I'll let you slide with that one, man.
Nah,
John says, look, I've cleared this division. There's really nothing here for me. Dude, I want to focus on what my next career goal is. And I applaud that. You know, a lot of people think he's full of it when he says that, but I don't think so. I think he's being honest and open. Remember, we always talked about this dichotomy of Jon Jones. There's two Jon Jones. There's the evil, heinous, or whatever you want to call him, sinister Jon Jones. Yes, the sinister Jon Jones. And then there's Jon Jones, who likes to go and do public works of good out in the public under camera and drop water on people, homeless people and stuff.
You deserve it.
Yeah. And so that's what I think we're seeing with John. He's doing something that's applaudable, but every time he does something applaudable, now people are going to think he has sinister motives.
Because you've never heard of Jon Jones doing something without the camera being there. That's the thing.
But he's still doing it with the camera, so like it's not like he in secret. Vacated the title.
I mean, he has a platform, and we've seen how platforms can and should be used. A prime example of that is the NBA this week. And John has this platform, and he spoke on it. He put it out there, and people are going to deal with it as they will. Some people are going to love it. Some people are going to hate it.
Look at Coach bringing fire.
I know.
All right.
I'm feeling that. That's a word.
Last one. Mike Tyson planning an MMA event with Verdum, Fedor 2, Wanderlei Belfort 2, and Ortiz Evans 3.
It's missing something important.
This is my Legends division right here. That's my
and that's when you take a drink, folks.
That's my Legend. Take a big one.
Isn't there a local team called the Legends?
Yeah, I think it's a women's basketball team.
I thought it was like
in Frisco. It's like an amateur basketball league. You're talking about like
a... are we jumping the channel?
My bad. That's on me.
There's a Frisco team called the Legends. It's a basketball team.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. Frisco is north of Dallas. For those of you, we're all Dallas folks here. And so Legends.
And so was I.
Yeah, let's.
They're north of Dallas. Remember that, Luke? Not in Dallas, but north of
north of Dallas. Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, so there. It seems as though there is life after the sport. I went on a rant. I guess it was last week about talking smack about bare knuckle and Paige Van Zant, who's on that poster over there, going to bare knuckle. But maybe Mike Tyson gives some of these fighters who are at the end of their career a second life, because they are now fighting their legacy counterparts, if you will, from years and years ago in Pride and in these other promotions. They're getting a second chance to run those back, even though they can't compete with the new talent that we have today. There's still a place for fighters who were game and who want to go.
Tito's last fight was trash.
It was Tito's last fight.
About to be trash.
Yeah, Tito's last 2 fights were trash. Because he ran it back with Chuck Liddell, and that was awful.
That was gross.
Yeah. And then he fought the guy that used to be in professional wrestling, and that was terrible.
Yeah.
Who was that?
He used to be a champ in WWE. Hispanic guy.
I don't remember that one. That's how unnoteworthy it was.
Batista?
Agreed.
No, not Dave Bautista.
That dude's awesome.
Yeah, which he did.
Even though that would be awesome to see Dave Bautista fight in mixed martial arts.
I think you have to choose these legacy fights better than this because, as we just talked about, a Woodley versus Lawler fight, I think we would all be game to watch that because even though these guys are not in their prime and peak, they're not so far outside that it's going to be extremely competitive and it's just going to be a different style. Watching Tito fight. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Casey. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that was it. Just like watching Tito fight, it would be difficult for me to get excited about his fighting style, his quickness, his fight IQ. Like, what is it about Tito that's going to make me want to watch this fight?
Okay, so the person that he fought last was Alberto El Patron. Also known, he went by a different name, and I believe it was Alberto Del Rio. Mm-hmm. He was a WWE champion. They fought in Combate Americas 51 in McAllen, Texas. So there you go.
How recent was that?
December 7th.
Actually. Of what year?
I was gonna say
2019. Last year.
That's wild.
There was another fight he had prior to the Chuck Liddell fight. I can't remember who it was. I thought he was a little bit more competitive. It was
Chael?
No, it was. Was it Chael?
It might have. Well, there was before Chuck Liddell. There was Chael Sonnen, and then there was Liam McGarry. He won against Chael, but he lost against Liam.
Okay, all right. I think I'm confusing it. Maybe it was some fight prior to that, but I thought he fought someone else who was also probably a candidate for the Masters division.
He did. I see it. Stephan Bonner. They actually
Stephan Bonner.
He actually won that in a split decision.
Okay.
Yeah, and Stephan Bonner is definitely he is prime Legends material. I can see him in there.
All right.
Dude, the case for this Legend division has been made, man. I like what Mike is doing with this. I think they really need some top-notch matchmakers to jump on board and really prime some of these fights. Because what I don't want to see is a fight like Tito versus a Tyron Woodley or someone who's a little bit more game than Tito is right now. Tito needs a.
You don't want to see that fight?
No. Tito needs a well-planned matchup, something that's competitive and not where you're going to see guys get outclassed in the Masters division. So I think whoever decides to take advantage of this will really do well to find a matchmaker who is on board and has the same ideas as a division like that needs to be, I guess, babied until it gets on its feet. Because if you come in out the gate and you just create these crazy matchups where guys are getting outclassed at that age, no one's going to want to watch that, and you're going to make your own case why the commission should shut it down. Mm-hmm. But if you can come in and really do well on the matchmaking and book some competitive fights for these guys where guys are in the fight and not getting just dumped on by somebody, then I think people will be willing to watch, man. I'm sorry to say it, but I would love to continue to see Anderson Silva glove up.
Yeah. I'd watch
There's just no way around it. I want to see that, but I want to see him fight someone that he can be competitive against. I don't want to see Anderson Silva and one of who is it?
Izzy.
Not Izzy. The other guy, the black horse over in 185.
Jared
Cannonier. Alaska / Dallas.
Oh, Jeff Neal? No,
Jared Cannonier.
Yeah.
Jared Cannonier. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't want to see that smoke.
No, nobody wants to see. I mean, but if you look at the fights, I'm looking at Verdum Fedor 2. We're looking at.
I kind of like that.
I love that. Vanderlei Belfort 2, and Ortiz Evans 3. This is basically Pride, and I'm okay with that because
Pride comes
the Belfort
before the fall.
Vanderlei fight, man. I think Belfort, if he gets on any of those supplements from outside of the United States, he's gonna run through Vanderlei.
Oh, see,
he has looked real different since USADA.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that Vanderlei shops at the same shops that Vitor shops at. So
yeah, but Vitor got that AT&T connection. Vanderlei has that Sprint by T-Mobile Metro line. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
The views expressed on this podcast.
Yeah. So speaking of, because you guys mentioned Anderson Silva, Anderson Silva actually does have a fight booked. It's on Halloween, and he is fighting what is it? The Prime Time, right?
Mhm.
Prime Time Uriah Hall for his last fight.
That's not good.
You don't know.
Perfect.
You don't know on that
fight
fight.
for Anderson.
It's a good fight because you never know which Uriah Hall is going to come in the ring.
Right, and not only that, Uriah is one of those guys who he's not out of this new class of fighters that are just total MMA guys. Yeah. Uriah is a striker. He comes from I forget the background. It's not strictly Muay Thai, but he's more of a striker. So it's a good matchup for Anderson, I feel like. And because Anderson is the elder statesman, he's got a little bit more technical know-how, and he can use that to counter Uriah's speed over him. You get what I'm saying? So I don't see that as necessarily a bad matchup for Anderson just yet.
I think it's a great matchup for Anderson.
So what?
I think it's a great matchup for Anderson. If you look at Anderson's legacy right now, is his biggest tool in his belt. Let's be honest, Izzy could have destroyed Anderson if he wanted to, but it's this respect factor. You just never know what crafty thing the Spider is going to bring. And for that being a head game, being his number one tool in his belt, he picked the right fighter in Uriah, because Uriah, I wouldn't say easy. He's probably more prone to get locked into overthinking in the fight. And there's no better fighter at making you second guess your offense than Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
Guys just don't want to throw anything because they don't know what's coming.
That.
I don't know if you guys know, but Uriah is fighting out of Fortis MMA here in Dallas these days.
Yeah, just saw
I would like to take back everything I just said.
He's a great fighter.
Uriah,
Love that guy.
You are an amazing fighter.
Yeah.
And
amazing fighter.
should I run into you on this?
Wow.
Yeah.
How the tape.
There, pull the whistle, blow the whistle.
Coach is like, "Oh, are you sure you want to stand by that statement?
Get on the hype train, y'all."
Yeah, I don't. He's actually a second-degree black belt in Kyokushin karate, and he's a blue belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So I'm good.
Yeah, I neglected to mention that I just really support what he stands for. I love how he supported his sister throughout her hard time. He's overcome a lot in his own life. The New York kid coming to Dallas, I'm here for it. I think you got a chance.
Yeah, we all for it.
All right,
double thumbs.
Let me give you some more info here now. Uriah hasn't fought in almost a year.
That bum.
By the time this fight,
oh, in that case, why don't you come on down here?
It will have been a year since the last time he stepped into the octagon, and like his last two fights were against guys who probably weren't the same caliber even as Anderson even now. So we got a case of some ring rust stepping in on Uriah's part. Anderson's been, I would say, fairly active since that time. So I think this is a great matchup for Anderson, man. I'm really interested in seeing what the odds are going to look like.
Yeah, me too. Some of the things though hasn't been Uriah's fault though. Like the last fight was called because of either COVID or some other injury or something like that. So Uriah Hall has been out of the cage for a while, but it's been a lot of freak things that's going on that's keeping him out of the cage. Wait, what? Probably shouldn't have said freak
Hall
things.
Was supposed to fight Yoel Romero on the 22nd last weekend.
Oh, God.
Romero pulled out for undisclosed reasons.
Yeah, sometimes God just looks at your circumstance and he pulls you out.
Won't he do it?
Won't he do it?
I can see
Look at God.
You want this Yoel Romero fight? No. Hey, what you doing this weekend?
No. He's like, you want this Yoel Romero fight? Uriah Hall's like, yeah, and then God steps in. No.
Look, sometimes the biggest blessing is the unanswered prayer.
Well, let's go into it. The UFC is a promotion on a mission. They have what is that song? It's like a 70s or 80s song. They got 25 miles to go. I'm gonna have to find it.
I love you hanging.
They got a long way to go in a short time to get there, which is a different song. But
I just can't give up now. I've come too far from where I started from.
Oh my gosh, we singing gospels here. So there is another fight this weekend. UFC Vegas 9.
There it is.
Overeem versus Sakai. Let's get into it with the fight card. All right, there we go. I done ruined the intros to the segments.
That's the first time I've actually heard the intros. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. So UFC on Vegas 9, Overeem versus Sakai, September 5th, 2020. That is this weekend. UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. We have 5 fights on the card. Thiago Moises versus Jalen Turner. You got Zalim Amadaev. There we go. Amadaev versus Michael Pereira. You got Carol Rosa versus Sajara Eubanks, and we know her. Alonzo Menifield versus Ovin St. Preux. And in the don't do it. I see you pick it.
I hear that atomic dog playing in the background. I hear it. You gotta hear it.
All right.
Well,
the bros be watching the show. You're gonna end up getting caught. Like you. Don't do it. And
Atomic.
in the main event of the evening, Aleksandar Overeem versus Augusto Sakai. So let's go flash fight picks on Alonzo Menifield, the co-main event versus Ovin St. Preux, and Aleksandar Overeem in the main event versus Augusto Sakai. So, Coach, Alonzo Menifield versus Ovin St. Preux. Is Ovin St. Preux going to get back on his winning ways, or is it just going to be another one of those disappointing fights to watch?
I love OSP. I think he is a wonderful fighter. Alonzo Menifield is about to have a great night.
Woo!
That's all I'm gonna say. To all those people out there that wear purple and gold, come out and support OSP, but don't be upset for what Alonzo does. Just saying.
All right, Kelechi.
Are they fighting at 205 or heavyweight?
So they're fighting at 205.
I'm a predictive miracle right now. Y'all write it down.
Oh, boy.
OSP by Von Fluke.
It could happen.
Wow.
It could happen.
That's the only way he gets back to his winning columns.
John Keys.
We talked about the end of the slow starters, and OSP is one of the slowest starters we got in the UFC. I think Alonzo is gonna have a good night too.
Well, I am honor bound to pick Ovin St. Preux. So, be out, dog. That's all I got to say.
He's going to be out, all right. Have you seen Alonzo Menifield?
Oh, no. Come on, bro. We got it. We got to do
that,
it.
Man. Don't laugh at that, Brian. Just ignore us. We ain't right in the head, man.
Y'all ain't right. All right, in the main event of the evening, Aleksandar Overeem versus Augusto Sakai. John Keys, you got the Demolition Man?
I think this is going to be the first time that I'm actually going to say no. I've always been a Demolition Man. I've always been behind Demolition Man. But guess what? It's time, dude. Call up Mike Tyson. Say you want to fight. You want to fight Fedor. He'll let you do it, man. Okay? Augusta is going to come in there, and it's going to be, I'll give it by decision.
All right. Kelechi.
I am honor bound to always and forever, each moment he fights.
Always and forever.
I'll always choose against you, Aleksandar Overeem.
Coach.
Dude, I'm going with the old man. Reem.
I want to so bad, but I know my heart is gonna break.
So
if I choose him, he's gonna break my heart, dude. Okay.
Augusto is like 15-1. I mean, he's no slouch, but I don't know who he's fought. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
Well,
John, what I was hearing you say
to get there. What's
so
that?
what I'm hearing you say is my mind's telling me no.
No. Okay, we're not going there with you. Nope.
No.
No.
Tonight.
I don't see nothing wrong with a little Overeem.
No. We're not giving him any shine. Zero.
Well,
Also, I would like to
Augusto.
clarify this is water.
He had a win over Blagoy Ivanov. I think we've seen him.
Yeah.
That's a pretty decent win.
That's a solid win.
Marcin Tybura, Arlovsky,
Mm-hmm.
and Chase Sherman. So all those were wins he had. 2 TKOs, 2 split decisions in his last 4 fights.
Right.
So he's fought some decent talent. So it's this is a step up for him in Overeem. But again, Overeem is of that Masters division class at this point in his career. So we shall see. But I'm still going with the Reem, man. Sometimes the old man can get it done. For the most part, I like to think that these new class of fighters handles their business. But every now and then, one of these guys from the Masters division will step up and put your lights out.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with Augustus Sakai. I do. It seems like every time I pick Alistair Overeem, he loses. Every time I pick against him, he wins. So I'm gonna just.
How dare you? You better pick Overeem.
I don't know. Maybe I want him to win, so I'm picking Sakai. All right. Well, follow us on social media on Instagram. I'm at
Whoa.
What you got,
You
fam?
missing 2 things, man.
What?
We didn't talk about Platinum Mike Perry tonight.
Don't nobody want to talk about Platinum Mike Perry.
I would like to hear about Platinum Mike Perry.
Platinum Mike Perry would like to hear about Platinum Mike Perry.
Exactly. Don't have Platinum run up on you, dude. You know he crazy.
Okay.
He is slowly becoming the ODB of the MMA world. He's trying to take Crazy Horse's place. All right, he's trying.
So okay. Platinum Mike Perry shared a make a death wish list. And so basically he's talking smack to 8 fighters, and he says all 8 of these fighters have made the same death wish to die at the hands of Platinum Mike Perry in the cage, and Mike is happy to grant that wish. And so it's a picture of Nico Price, Nicholas Dalby, Daniel Rodriguez, Emil Meek. I don't know what he's doing by calling out Khamzat Chimaev, Michael Pereira, Manur Lazez, and Darren Till. Time of death to be announced. This is Mike Perry's way of calling out all of these fighters. And I mean, it's, on the Trash Talk game, I have to give it some respect.
Murder, I still love it like that.
But let's face it though. Like Mike Perry is in this weird part of his career where I don't see upward mobility towards a championship fight. So he's kind of got, and he's also exhibiting behavior, that could suggest that he may be having some issues.
I am not a therapist, but I can say that this behavior that he's presented over the last month is really indicative of bipolar 2 manic episode. The problem that I'm seeing with this is that the UFC continues to enable this. Like, this is fairly innocuous for a fighter to throw out, like, hey, I want to fight you. But let's be extremely clear here. My man's talking about killing people, not fighting people. And in his mental state, like, he may not be joking. Yeah,
that's the it's kind of like that Key and Peele episode where he's talking smack, and then it's like, no, I really am gonna do this. He's like, no, you just figuratively mean no, this is the plan.
Like, so before I can take this lightly, I'm gonna need him to clarify.
Yeah,
because this is just dangerous talk.
So yeah, I thought that for runtime of the show we could skip over it, but yeah, that's what the story is. Mike Perry dropping some major trash talking on 8 fighters, most of which I don't have him with a snowball's chance winning.
If they die in the ring, is it premeditated murder? If he dies, he
dies.
He died.
Okay,
Well, technically,
one last piece of trivia. Did you know that Sylvester Stallone is talking about taking out the robot scene when he gives Paulie the big robot in the director's cut of Rocky IV?
Why?
why?
Because it's a dumb scene, but it's a classic scene.
But it's a classic.
So people are trying to stop it, but All right, are you content, Mr. Keys? Did I do the story justice?
You did, but it could have been done better. But I'll let you slide. Because,
That real time.
We it is what it is. I guess.
All right, I apologize. I will endeavor to do better the next time. Follow us on social media on Instagram. I'm at Combat Sports Talk. Oh,
I'm
John
at
Keys.
Keys to Victory, and that's Keys with an ES.
Kelechi.
I am at Obfuscated, and that is spelled OBFUSC.
Not sure.
Oh,
The
wow.
number 8 TED. In my defense, I'm terrible.
And Coach.
You can find me at darkside _ Muay Thai _.
You can find us on our website at www.combatsportstalk.com. Check out our merchandise link. You can get a shirt like one that Coach is wearing. It's a Combat Sports Talk original logo tee. Shout out to MMA Junkie, MMA Fighting, MMA Mania, Bloody Elbow, and the Intelligent Defense Discussion Group, where a lot of these conversations begin. Follow us on any one of these platforms that we have up here on the screen. That's for those listening. That's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Periscope, and Spotify. On behalf of John Keys, George Stallworth.
Birthday.
Oh yeah, let's wish John Keys a happy birthday on the show.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, it's officially.
No,
September
you know how we
1st.
got to do it. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
We all off, but chapter 45 came to a close, and now we open up to chapter 46 in the life.
Aren't we all glad about 45 coming to a close? Can we get an amen?
Amen. I hope he does it. I mean, not won't he do it? Hope he does it.
Hey, real quick then, while we on other subjects, so I guess taking a more serious note, the Jacob Blake incident. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to digest that or anything like that. Maybe we can do it off the show afterwards or whatever. But I was just wondering how you guys felt about that and what you've seen so far. Are you reserving judgment for what you've seen so far and those kind of things? But anyway, we can decide that now,
After
later,
bell.
whatever.
We're gonna do it after the bell. Let's do it after the bell.
And y'all know me. This is like I live and breathe this as part of my job. So as much as it pains me to have to stay up to speed on these type of issues, and this goes for anyone on the listening, I am always I'm always willing to engage in fruitful conversations around some of these more pertinent social issues that we're going through. I mean, we're in a tumultuous time, right? Like, so all of this has been happening for the longest. It absolutely has. But I think we have to be prepared to have meaningful conversations that aren't just about digesting what we've seen, but moving us forward. And I'd say that part of my life's mission is to be an amplifier for the voices of those who aren't able to be heard. So I want to know more stories about how people are dealing with this and be a resource to those who need to find a way to navigate this in a healthy